with Chris. Today we're going to be making Charleston she crab soup. I'm going to start by small dicing my onion and my celery. So I'll get started on that now. And then so when you're small dicing an onion, you always want to take off the front part here, because if you add this middle section of the onion, it can make your soup bitter. So that's always something you want to remove. And a nice little trick to small dicing onion would be this, if you've ever seen it. You want to use the tip of your knife and leave the back end to keep it whole, and then just come through. And you got a small diced onion. And same thing to the other side. Okay, into the bowl. Now celery, we have 5 pieces here, and we're just going to small dice that as well. Same as the onion. I'm just cutting it in half long ways, and then I'm just going to run down and chop it. There it is. Same thing in the bowl. Now we're going to come over here to our pot. We're going to want to use 4 tablespoons of olive oil into the pot that I have preheated. It's a little hot. And then in the vegetables go. We're going to do a quick saute on these so they get a little bit of color. So we're going to come back whenever these are done sauteing. We'll be adding in our garlic, and the reason we add that in after the other vegetables are done sauteing is because the garlic will burn more easily than onions and celery. So now we have 2 cloves of garlic that I went ahead and chopped up that we're going to be throwing in. In it goes. And we're just waiting until that becomes aromatic and you can just smell it in the air. Okay, next we're going to be making the roux to thicken the soup, and we're making it the classical way of doing it in the pot. So you're going to need equal parts butter and flour. With 1 stick of butter, we're going to let that melt up. It's going to take a little while, but you just got to keep stirring it so it doesn't burn. So now that the butter has melted, we're going to be adding in our flour. And whenever you add in the flour, you're going to, instead of wanting to use a rubber scraper, you're going to want to whisk it in. And you're going to need to whisk this for 5 to 10 minutes until the roux cooks. And you're going to want it to kind of smell like peanut butter in a way. Like it needs to, you need to know that it's cooked, or the soup is going to taste too floury. So we're just going to go ahead and put our flour in, and we're just going to whisk that in. So now you're just going to want to keep stirring until it becomes cooked. So we'll be back when that's done cooking. We are done cooking the roux. You can see that it is much darker than it was, and it's much thicker too. And it smells very nutty. So now we are ready to add our tomato paste. This is what's going to give our soup color. So we're going to throw this in. And the thing about tomato paste, when you put it in a soup, is you have to cook it. It's just like any other vegetable. So we're going to throw that in and let that cook a little bit. And we're going to try to let that almost, we're gonna try to let that crust on the bottom of the pan so that when we deglaze with our white wine, it'll pull up all that good flavor that we're looking for. You can see now that a little bit of that tomato paste is kind of sticking to the bottom there. That's where our white wine comes in. We're gonna deglaze with this. And that alcohol will take that right off the bottom of the pan, which is what we want. We just stir that in, let that cook a little bit. Let it deglaze that pan. Here we go. Now that we got that, we're gonna go ahead and add our liquid. We got clam juice here. We're just gonna dump that in and we're gonna whisk all that up. And now that that liquid's in there, we can turn our heat up a little bit so that it comes up to a boil a little bit quicker. And as this is heating up, you want to constantly stir to try to keep that roux from burning to the bottom of the pot. And we're going to go ahead now and we're going to throw in our crab base, our bay leaf, and our thyme, which I have all measured out into this container right here. That'll just go in there just like that. And as this cooks, we'll just continuously stir. And we're going to want to bring this up to a boil. Finishing our soup off with our cream now that it's been simmering for about 30 minutes. We're going to pour our cream in. We're going to mix that up. And we're going to bring that up to a boil and shut it off, and it will be done. We have brought our soup up to a boil, and now we are ready to strain it. So I have a strainer over here, and you're just going to go ahead and just drain soup. And you're going to want to try to get all those chunks out of it, because sheep crab is supposed to be broth. A broth base, no chunks. There we go. After you strain your soup, all you have to do is serve it over some crab that you put in the bowl. And there you go. Homemade Charleston she crab soup. And then all you gotta do is garnish with a little bit of sherry, and you're good to go. And that was Cooking with Chris. I hope you enjoyed.